Hi everyone, this is Elizabeth at craftsbyhappystamper.com. Today I'm participating in the One Stamp at a Time Back to School blog hop, and I am going to show you how to make these 6 lunchbox notes that I show you here. So we're going to be doing a bit of watercoloring. I'm going to be using these 2 sets. One is called Your Sublime and the other is Barnyard Babies to make these lunchbox note cards. And I'm just using scrap watercolor paper that I found, left over in my bag of watercolor paper. So if you want to know the exact size, it's actually the 5th from the largest circle from the circle framelits from Stampin' Up. And this first stamp set is a stamp says, "You're totally awesome." It's from the Your Sublime set. And I'm stamping all of these in the brand new archival black ink from Stampin' Up. It actually doesn't go on sale for customers until September 1st, but it's great for watercoloring and just about anything you want. And it gives you a nice crisp black image. I really like it. So I think you'll love it too when it becomes available. The second one says, "Have a snappy day with a crab." And the third one from this set says, "You're sublime." And it has two little goldfish, right, in a submarine. I think that's cute. So that's it from that set. The next 3 come from the Barnyard Baby set, and it has this little mommy chickie in it, and it has 2 baby chickies that I'm stamping. And then I'm going to stamp the sentiment, which says, "I hope your day is just ducky." And then this set also has some little tufts of grass. So I decided to put some grass at the bottom of these. And, I'm just randomly placing it. But once I put 4, I was like, well, I should probably put 5. So that's how that came up. The next one is this cute pig, which I love. And the sentiment says, "Hogs and kisses," which is just too cute, right? And I'm going to add some more grass to this too. You can see there. And the final one is this cow. And, well, the sentiment's kind of long, so first I'm making sure that the sentiment fits. And it says, "Hope have an award-winning day." So I'm going to put this cute cow on it, and I'm going to give the cow an award that is also in the stamp set. You can see that this watercolor piece is a little frayed. As I said, these are all just scrap pieces that I had in my bag already. I didn't cut anything new for these. So I'm just going to take my scissors and make that a little prettier in just a minute. So now that I have all my stamping done, I can start watercoloring. And I've definitely sped through this, but I'm using my Marvelous markers and a clear acrylic block to put my color down on the acrylic block. And then I'm going to use an aqua painter to actually paint all these in. That being said, I did not put water in my aqua painter. There's nothing in the aqua painter actually. I have a separate little thing that you see me reaching across my um, a separate little bowl of water because I think it's kind of hard to control the water coming out of these aqua painters if it's inside it. So it's easier for me to control if I keep the water separate. So that's what I've done. And I mess up a little bit further down the line, and I'll show you how I fix that later when I mess up. But the colors that I've used so far are the basic black, the real red, and the garden green, which you could see me. These don't need that much color. It is, if you want the color to actually really show up, then you have to use darker colors than what you really want because when you add water to them, they become much lighter. So you can see that garden green is much lighter than it would be if I had colored directly on the watercolor paper. So for the sky, I am using, what am I using? It's not soft. Oh, Tempting Turquoise. That's right. I wanted to say soft sky because that's normally my go-to color, but when you're watercoloring, it's just too light. You can't see anything. So I used the same colors, garden green and Tempting Turquoise, for the sky and grass on all of the pictures. And I used Tempting Turquoise and um, Pacific Point, a mixture of those for the water later. For the piggy, isn't he cute? I used Calypso Coral, and you can just keep adding a little bit more ink and a little bit more ink to add a little bit more shading to the piggy. Isn't he cute? Yeah, I know. This is the Totally Awesome Froggy. And first I'm adding just water everywhere before I added the green because I didn't want it to be too dark. But I added green everywhere. to the entire frog, and then I came back and darkened up the areas that I wanted it to be darker. So now I'm just adding more garden green ink to the spots so that they seem a little bit darker. And now that was me adding water. I was like, what am I doing there? That was me adding water, and now I'm adding the Tempting Turquoise to it. And for some reason, I just decided to do Tempting Turquoise over the entire thing, like he's floating in the air for some reason. I don't know why I decided that, but evidently I did. So now we're going to the Hope Your Day is Just Ducky, and I'm using a combination for the ducks of Daffodil Delight and Pumpkin Pie. And I don't know why on the camera it looks a little green right now, but that's just Daffodil Delight. But maybe I had a little bit of green from the grass on my paintbrush still or something. I don't know. But now I'm adding a little bit of Pumpkin Pie to make it an orangish yellowish chicky before I color in the grass and the ocean. And I'm doing this really fast. Now, I did speed up the video, but it took me less than 30 minutes to make all 6 of these. Um, it took me like 20 minutes to color them, and then I had to let them dry before I could do, play with them a little bit, which I'll show you in a little bit because I'm going to add some other details to them. So now I'm making some goldfish with my pumpkin pie, and I'm not going to color the bubbles, anything. I'm just going to leave them blank, but I used basic gray for the submarine colors. I didn't want it too dark because I wanted you to be able to see it. And I debated putting something in the windows, but I just could not think of anything to put in the windows. So I just decided to leave the windows the way they were. And I decided to make the water a little bit darker than I had been making the skies before by adding some Pacific Point to it, to the Tempting Turquoise. So what you see here is a mix of the two colors. And I'm trying to avoid the bubbles, but it doesn't really matter. This is for kids. They're not going to care really, and they're just going to love that you thought of them, and it'd be a nice little surprise in their lunchbox. So now we're going to, this is the final one. I might have said the last one was the final one. Whatever. Have a snappy day with this cute crab. I don't know why I love these crabs so much, but there's been a couple sets with these crabs, with crabs in them from Stampin' Up, and I just love them. But I'm using Calypso Coral once again to color the crab because he's kind of like orangey pinkish, in real life. So, and then I will also color the um, ocean or whatever you want to call it with the Tempting Turquoise and the Pacific Point. And when I first started, I was going to put crumb cake on the bottom for sand, but as I got started, I just completely forgot about that idea and kept on drawing. But if you want to add crumb cake, that might be a nice finishing touch. You can see that I'm trying to make it a little darker here, but there's too much water, and this is where I mess up. You could see that with all the extra water it bled. But first I'm going to go ahead and back these, and I picked Basic Gray, Wild Wasabi, and Calypso Coral as my 3 background colors. And this time I just used, instead of using the 5th, which was the size circle, I used the 4th size largest circle so that there was a little mat behind each of them. And now I'm just using some snail to put it. You can use glue if you wish. It might help you line it up more perfectly. But I'm backing them now. So and it's somewhat random the way I decided what to back what colors, but the ones that had more green in it I put with the wild wasabi, and the ones that had more calypso coral in it I put with the calypso coral, and vice versa. So you can obviously back it with whatever you want to back them with, or don't back them at all. You don't have to, but I think it looks nice to have a little ring of color around them. So I'll show you how I fix that in just a minute. Okay, so I got my aqua painter and I added more water because these have already dried, right? And now I'm just trying to move that ink out of the way. So I'm trying to push that ink out of the way, or at least dilute it so it's not so obvious, right? So I'm adding ink, but you don't want to add too much, especially because I've already backed it. And then I'm getting my Tempting Turquoise Marvelous Marker, and I'm outlining right at the edge where I want to add more blue to cover up the Calypso Coral that bled out. So If you add too much water, it will start peeling, and I did get a little bit of peeling here that you might be able to see. I don't know if you can see it or not, but just keep adding a little bit more ink and a little bit of water, and you'll be able to cover up most of what that is. And then you can blot up the excess water with just a paper towel or tissue, and you can see it's not as obvious now. Now, of course, in hindsight, I'm noticing that my claw is really more white than orangish pink, but oh well, right? You do what you can. And I could go back now, I suppose, now that everything's dry, and add more color if I wished. But I haven't done it yet, so we'll see if that happens. So hogs and kisses, that's one of my, that has got to be my favorite saying. You can see that. All right, now I'm going to take some crystal effects, and I put my crystal effects in this different bottle. It's supposed to be easier to get into do fine details with. However, I haven't really had that experience with it, but you know, it's already in that bottle, so I haven't moved it back into the old one. I probably won't. I'll just use it in this bottle and then not switch over again. But I'm just adding some crystal effects to the eyes of the froggy and the crab, and I'm adding it to the windows of the submarine since they should be glossy, right? And I'll add a little bit to the bubbles when I'm done, and you just need a teeny tiny bit on the bubbles. But crystal effects takes a long time to dry, so make sure you do not touch them after you add in the add the crystal effects details. So this is what they look like. 6 lunchbox notes. If you'd like to get the details on the supplies, please click on the link below in the description. Also, if you click on the link, you'll see a next button so you can hop along to the rest of the awesome projects in the blog hop. Plus, I have a cute little minion tissue holder that I made to send along with the kids so that they can try to keep the germs away, that you could check out on my blog below. Thanks for joining me.